a lot of Democrats are hoping that President Obama would be a lot more forceful and assertive with the new budget. He'd be a lot more progressive on a lot of these issues. So here's just a short rundown of some of the things. Not a very big increase in science. Not a very big increase in a lot of other really important programs to progressives. When adjusted for inflation, there's basically no increase. No serious entitlement reforms. No serious attempt to balance the budget in the future. Projected out into 10 years, it's still not budget. It's still not balanced for anyone who cares about that. But on the other hand, he does have a plan for taxing corporate profits coming from overseas, and he'd use that to pay for infrastructure. So how are you guys feeling about this? Do you think he's taken the sort of the mandate, the energy that people seem to have for him right now, and he's putting it in the right direction?
I think he's trying to have a realistic budget that he thinks can get passed, but even the Republican Congress is looking at this budget like it's a communist.
They're always going to do that, though. So, I mean, I guess the larger question is, did he go far enough? Should he go on way farther so they could call that communistic and scale it back to something like it is now? Mm-hmm. Or does he just keep doing what the Democrats keep doing and they throw out their position and Republicans are like, whoa, that's communism, and then scale it way back, way more conservative than it really should be? And that's pretty much been the strategy ever since Obama's been elected.
But I think that
why don't Democrats realize that? Why? I'm asking you two because
I realize it completely. I don't understand
defend
why.
Your party.
No, I'm not defending it.
I don't have to. All I have to say is look at the other option. That's already the greatest defense.
But it's not good enough. Like,
it's
there's
not
nothing.
That's why Democrats aren't. That's why no one's happy with Democrats. Just
there's nothing in the budget that deals with.
You can't just look and say, "Hey, we're not as
look
bad
at
as
the alternatives," but they really are bad.
The thing is, I can understand. I can understand some of this where he's not. Maybe there's certain things here that I think of as conservative. Like I want to see a balanced budget proposal.
Not even necessarily just conservative. But
right. Well, I feel like that's more responsible. But even on some things where it's like there's no maternity leave program that he's putting in there. There's no increases for science in the long run.
I thought there
was. There's an increase in NASA. $18 billion for NASA. They're planning a mission to Europa.
$18 billion has been the budget for years now. So it's actually going down when you adjust it for inflation. This is a president that's not taking science seriously enough. It's a president that still isn't coming up with ways to put more money into education. And I feel like you should at least put those things in your budget. If Republicans are going to reject it, you should at least propose those things and say this would be the right thing to do.
Joey, you're sounding pretty radical, man. Whoa, who is this guy?
No, it's gone too far. But I don't want to. I don't want
this budget. You think it's really gone that far?
I don't want to dominate you guys. Or anything. I know you guys probably. If you want to support the president, you can come on in. The main things that I like that he did put in the budget is he expanded, or he wants to expand tax credits for childcare and for families with children in general, and for people who don't have children. He wants to make the earned income tax credit available for those people, which is a very big deal because that essentially means that it's almost like welfare without welfare. It's you go to work. You make money, but you're not making that much money, and it's not enough to survive. And so the idea is you get some money back.
Year,
right? It's like a minimum wage, but without the negative consequences of a minimum wage of making a worker more expensive. So I'm in very much support of those things that Obama proposed, but I also think some very serious issues that I think deal with basic responsibility, such as science or balancing the budget. Those things are nowhere in his budget. I can't tell that those are priorities to him.
Well, I will say that, there is a presidential election coming up in 2 years, and the Democrats are trying to, stick to the middle, and they are alienating their base. I have no way of defending that all across the country. But
and how do you think the Democratic Party is alienating the base right now?
I think by not standing up for these issues that are traditionally progressive. It seems like the party tries to target, we're going to do this for black people, we're going to do this for gay people, and it's, there's nothing done for everybody.
Do you think they take Latinos, black people for granted?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think black people more than anybody in the constituency. It's like, we all we have to do is have an election. They're going to show up for us, and if they don't, it doesn't matter anyway.
I'm tired of hearing about black people, honestly.
I bet you are.
Because we're talking about the 2015 budget.
Right.
So the 2015 budget, that's Obama's proposal, as Joey said. It's a proposal. Congress has to approve the budgets. The Congress is dominated by
They
Republicans.
don't have to approve it. They have to
No,
approve
they're not
a
even.
budget.
They're not even going to
Exactly.
consider it with
A
any
budget.
seriousness.
Sure.
But
Exactly.
knowing that they're not going to consider it, I can't understand. Like, why don't you at least negotiate from the point of view
That's
that
the
you
whole
care?
point of like bargaining and
Yeah,
like reaching a compromise. You got to stake out a position that's not what you
This
think
budget
your
was
opponent will
already
accept.
bargained
The
upon.
Because
The
he
budget-
knows they're
exactly.
not going to.
Yeah,
The bu-
it's already
but it's like
bargained.
When is he gonna learn?
If this was the budget that had been compromised at the end of the day with Democrats and
Man.
Republicans battling against each other, then I'd be like, okay, this makes some sense.
There are a lot
There's
of
some
aides
good things in it and some
who-
bad things in
who
it.
Run up and down the hill every day to get this budget, just to get this budget that we have. And there was a lot in it prior to what we are left with. And it's going to be stripped away even more once it goes through House and
That's-
Senate.
the
So-
Office of Management and Budget comes up with this. They are completely under the jurisdiction of the president. The director can be hired and fired by the president. Everything they do in the Office of Management and Budget, it literally falls under the White House. They answer to the chief of staff of the president. He can just tell them, look, make a better budget. Don't negotiate with all these other people. Don't go and ask what everybody else wants. Put out what's right.
I'm not as disappointed about the budget as Joey and Bridgemont are. I think that
I'm substantially less disappointed than Joey is.
I don't know why I keep looking at you when I argue against this, but I just feel like you're my Democrat friend, and
Yeah.
and I just don't
That's why I
understand
feel
where
like you
where
two
we're
should
going.
answer for it.
Yeah.
I heard someone say that this budget just wasn't progressive enough. I think Obama did a pretty good job of at least putting on the table tax raises on the rich. The Republicans hate the
And it's
idea.
going to go nowhere. It's
I
not
mean,
going
he-
anywhere.
He was there
But-
for go on.
But that's a great idea to just put on the table in my mind, because to me that's a central issue of, for example, what started Occupy Wall Street movement, like income inequality, the bankers, getting rewarded with bonuses after they wrecked the economy, and then the majority of Americans getting hurt, and many millions are unemployed. So to me, the whole thing about what you said of increasing the minimum wage through the backwards way of giving the expanded income tax credits, like that's good for the economy. That's what we need. We need less income inequality. We need more social mobility. I'm very happy with all this
I
stuff.
completely agree with the half of his budget where he's going after the bread and butter issues, and he's saying, you know what, we need to help out the middle class, we need to help out families, we need to help working mothers who are trying to send their kids to childcare. I totally agree with that half. And I'm probably never going to like a president as much as I currently like President Obama. Like probably all the presidents in the future, I'm going to be like, I remember when Obama was president. It was way better. But I just cannot understand why on the other half, when it comes to the things that are responsible, like science or education or balancing the budget, that he's just a no-show on this.
Well,
'Cause
there's
he knows
a lot.
it's gonna get stripped. It's like,
But why
you try
not
to
at
focus
least-
on you focus on what you can realistically get passed, and you know that this Congress is not going to approve a substantial increase.
So now you're
in science.
defending it. So you like the budget. You're
I'm
all right
not.
with it.
I'm not.
What?
No, I don't like the budget, but
or with his tactics.
it's
with his
real.
tactics
It's realistic. It's real. You have to
of
think
just
of
putting forth. But yeah,
There's
I
no
understand.
reason to make
I
it
understand that
realistic.
what he
His
proposed is
budget should be
realistic.
shitting rainbows right now.
Yeah,
It
but
does
he
not have to be
knows.
realistic. This
That's
is-
a waste of time.
Congress
No,
is
it's
just going to
not.
reject it and then come up with their own budget and
That's how
pass
you
that
bargain.
instead.
When you bargain with someone that you know isn't going to take your first offer, that's why you highball, man.
Well, we have
You
to
asked for way
understand
more.
also that
Exactly.
it
Obama
is
should be highballing it.
in a way of highballing, because according to my research, the projected revenues for 2015 are about 3.2 trillion. This is a 3.9 trillion proposal, so it's going to be we're going to be running about a $700 billion.
All right, well,
I'm-
let
you know,
me
it's-
talk for a
it's-
second
so-
here. Let me
it's-
interrupt you guys. We only got
so-
a couple minutes left, so let me interrupt you guys and talk about the shit that nobody wants to hear about.
Oh,
nobody
because
gives a
what
shit
you have
about.
to say is more important.
Yes.
All right.
Because listen, I'm about to talk about the rest of the species on this planet. So
Scott
to that,
Brown,
this
everyone.
is more important. Center for Biological Diversity isn't too happy with this budget because the proposed budget basically stays flat, even though there's 140 more species have been added in the last 4 years to the endangered species. There's hundreds that are waiting to be approved to put on the list. The budget is the cost. It's less than the cost of a single F-35 fighter jet. So basically, we're saying to hundreds and hundreds of species that'll never be back on this planet again in this country that we have one fighter jet. One of these fighter jets is
well-
more important than you because we've got these mythical.
And what kind of image
creatures
does that put forward to the rest of the world as oh yeah, follow us, do what we're doing?
I think
I mean, I think that.
How can we
disgraceful.
tell Brazil?
saying,
How
you
can we
know,
tell
I mean,
Brazil to stop?
I think that's disgraceful, but at the same time, I mean, there's no way to defend it. But when you have a situation where going into the room, you know that you're dealing with a bunch of people who are anti-environment.
They're going to be
You know,
anti his budget no matter what, though. His
we
budget
understand
should
it.
be
They
just
wouldn't
the ideal.
So you're saying if he had proposed to quadruple the budget, it would have gone up slightly? You
That's the thing.
the
We're not
dollar
even, we're
amount
not
would
even
have changed
asking
at all?
We're not
What
even
would it have
asking that we
accomplished?
quadruple the budget. We're just saying why not put more spending into a few of these priorities that are not
Because-
very expensive.
because it's politics, Joey. The more pie in the sky it is, the more you're gonna whip up the Republican base to demagogue against the whole
Against
idea.
solid
Oh, is it
issues.
high in the
Okay,
sky?
Like
Are you
to
guys-
fund science or to fund,
to fund the not species going
I mean, I
extinct?
just don't.
Because you know what?
Those
I'm
are
sorry
those are
to say
issues
this.
that Republicans will lose on.
I care about the species going extinct. All of us do. I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement on that. But the majority of the American people do not. And he's the president. He's the president and the head of a party that is going into an election year.
I think
They're
it's a
definitely
good
not
issue.
gonna focus on the bread and
I
butter
think
issue.
endangered
Look,
species
he's got to
is
be
a
a
good
leader.
issue.
This is the difference between a politician and a leader, dude. A leader would say, we got to give a fuck about the future no matter what, if it's good for short-term politics
Only a
or not.
politician can become president of the United States of America.
Maybe,
It's the
but you can
mythical
also cross that. I mean, you could
public
just-
servant
you could
person.
saddle that. I mean,
They're not
and
going to
at
get
this
elected.
point, he's already president. He doesn't have to get elected. He's president. He can't get reelected. This is his second term. He's one of the few people in this country who can't be citizens over 35 who can't be elected president.
Right.
So
I mean, I think Obama's cojones
doesn't
have
have-
grown this year, and I think you're just expecting them to grow too much too fast. I
No,
think he's done
I
about
think-
as much as he can do.
I don't
with
think
regards to
really.
I
I'm
think he's
just putting it
done
in that
a lot
perspective.
considering what he's dealt
No,
with.
no,
He's
no,
done a
no.
lot.
I think
has
it's not that his balls just got bigger. I mean, I think he's been doing a great job and he's taken leadership on so many issues. I just don't see why he's not taking leadership on some of these things that are so important, like endangered
Well-
species, which I don't feel like the American people are against that. I think you can win that issue
Yeah, I
against
think in general
Republicans.
they're
I
not
think you
opposed
can
to it.
win
They
on
will
science
vote on the
compared to
economy,
Republicans.
But I don't think they would vote against a president who would even doubled that budget or said, "Hey," and look at that.
Double
what
the
is it?
budget? You
What
want
is
a
it? 60
$7.8
double
trillion
double the
budget?
budget for endangered species,
which is a very tiny budget.
That's
Which
fine,
is the
but-
but look at it. What's the military budget? It's like 62% of this fucking budget. So I mean, we haven't even talked about that yet.
Well, he did
62
propose-
fucking percent.
He's proposed cutting the total military budget would be about $496 billion, which is the same amount as fiscal year 2014. So that's nowhere near 62%.
Well, the discretionary budget.
It is about for the discretionary budget. It's not 60. It used to be 62. It's closer to like
I
50
think
now.
it's still over. It's over half.
When we were in the
Close to
when we were
half.
in the
It's
wars.
fucking insane. No, go
All right,
look it
so-
up right now. Robert Wright
about-
just posted this shit. We're using my computer for this, so I can't look it up. Robert Wright fucking posted fucking pie chart the other day. I swear it was over half. But anyway.
It might be over half.
Anyway, either way,
if
the
you
military-
include like VA and State Department
Oh,
and
yeah,
things
yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
or Homeland Security, which would normally be included in the defense budget in other countries, then I think it gets to about 62%.
Yeah,
So that's an effective argument,
Okay,
but that's sort of
anyway,
that's
still,
discretionary.
It's an insane.
It is.
Insane amount.
It is.
I'm gonna go for the personal attack.
We didn't talk
And
about that
the
yet.
personal attack is going to be against Scott Brown because he likes to talk about endangered species. But when I was just in his backyard
Oh,
just a little bit ago, it was overrun
Jesus.
with invasive species, giving no room for native flora.
I heard it was
fauna.
mainly Asian invasive species.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I think he really only picked on the Asian ones. So I don't know if this is just a little.
There
It's
was,
a racist.
Yeah.
He's racist against
I
plants.
will say there was some English ivy.
Very,
There was some English ivy
Oh.
So
too.
you didn't
Oh.
seem to have a problem with it.
No,
What was it that you said that it kept the soil in? It's good
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Erosion.
Oh,
yeah.
But anyway,
You seem to be in favor of the English ivy. It was,
anyway, I rent. So anyway.
But in conclusion, I think we can all agree that President Obama has been a great president, and we're just upset that he hasn't done a better job on this. We can all agree on that, right? Right, Scott?
He's been a good president. I'm not gonna say great. You know, when I think of great presidents, I think of like FDR. You know, somebody who, changed the way America society.
I feel like he spent all his political capital on the ACA, and it's just a fucking lobbyist just fucking
shredded
stick
apart.
their cocks
It's
all
shredded
over it.
apart. I mean, it's really.
But Brian,
Unaffordable Care
you
Act.
agree with me
The
that-
Pretty
ACA.
much. You can afford health
But you
insurance, but not
agree with me
healthcare.
that Obama's been one of the
Yeah.
he's been one of the best, right? You agree with me on
One
that?
of the best? I don't know about that.
It's still
I
it's
share,
not like a great
I share
high bar. I mean,
Bridgman's
people,
hesitation.
you know,
I mean, I'm black, and I want him to say he's not. You know, I give him.
Oh, you're giving up too easy.
I give him.
Bridgman.
I
You're
give
giving up too
him
easy.
top 10 out of 44. I could give him. And he's probably like 7, 8
all right,
or
well,
something.
that's
You
too
know?
much. I mean, now